Thank you. I'm not sure if I remember a more shocking series win, the way Winnipeg swept the Edmonton Oilers, followed by a more shocking way to lose, being swept by the Montreal Canadiens. Once again, Dave Poulin, Darren Dreger, and Jamie McLennan. In retrospect, Pooley, was this over after Game 1 with Scheifele suspended and Dylan DeMello hurt?
Two really key pieces, and it very well may have been, James. Certainly the Jets didn't think so at the time. They've played without Mark Scheifele before. But the decision he made at the end of that game on an empty net goal that had been scored by Jake Evans and taking that penalty and subsequent suspension certainly changed and disrupted the entire lineup. The injury to Dylan DeMello, kind of an innocent play early in the game. But what it did was it changed their matchups. He was partnering so effectively with Josh Morrissey, and they had shut down the vaunted Edmonton Oilers superstars in that first series. And it changed their whole rotation and their matchups. And up front, with Scheifele gone and Stastny injured, they never, ever got in sync. They never got the pieces together. They realized the importance of Mark Scheifele and the trickle down to Blake Wheeler, to Kyle Connor, all the way down the lineup. They never recovered from that first or those losses in that first game.
Well, and you have to remember that Mark Scheifele wasn't available to them last year's playoffs because of the injury in Game 1 with Matthew Tkachuk. He gets tied up, and then in Game 1 here, he takes a suspension on Jake Evans. So if you look at it, his last 2 years for the Winnipeg Jets, their number one star centerman really hasn't played for them. So that is a tough pill for Winnipeg Jets fans and the organization to swallow.
The Jets pushed as hard as they could in Game 4, but at the end of the day, it can't be up to Logan Stanley to generate all of the offense in a clinching game for the Montreal Canadiens. There will be sleepless nights ahead here for the top guys for the Winnipeg Jets. And, you looked at how Paul Maurice tried to move Pierre-Luc Dubois throughout the lineup in Game 4, just trying to get him a bit of room. But it goes beyond that, of course. Blake Wheeler, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, Andrew Kopp, Adam Lowry had a goal in the series. But those top guys who have been so reliable offensively throughout the course of this year just could not get it done against the Montreal Canadiens. So, yeah, that's ineffective, but that might speak more to the game plan and the structure and the execution of the Montreal Canadiens.
Effort there, I guess, in Game 4, but 16 shots into overtime in a do-or-die for your season game, just not good enough. And so you wonder, you have the overachieving in that sweep of Edmonton, followed by underachieving in being swept by Montreal. What happens with Winnipeg in the offseason, Drakes?
Well, there'll be lots of talk, obviously, starting with ownership that trickles down to management and ultimately to the coaching staff. The Canadian markets, when served a big heaping of disappointment, deal with it in a very difficult manner. So there'll be some that call for Paul Maurice's job. They'll question the management of Kevin Cheveldayoff, and Mark Chipman, who's a loyal owner, will be part of that conversation. It's going to drift all the way back to the trade deadline and the inactivity of the Winnipeg Jets. They brought in a veteran piece to help their blue line in Jordy Ben, but I know that the dressing room was expecting something far better than that. When you deal with disappointment to this level, no question there's going to be some tough conversations. But if you're firing Paul Maurice or you're getting rid of Kevin Cheveldayoff, a good general manager, an excellent head coach, who are you replacing him with?
And so much talk around that trade deadline about the young players that Winnipeg was unwilling to give up. Ville Heinola, Dylan Sandberg, some of those guys. And I said at that point, then I want to see them the rest of the season. I want to see them play. And they weren't able to impose themselves into the lineup. Even Christian Vesalainen and David Gustafsson. There's some pieces there that we haven't seen yet play consistently with Winnipeg. Now, it's up to them to impose themselves. They also have to be given the opportunity.
I don't think too much tinkering has to be done with this team. You've got a great top nine. You've got an all-world goaltender. And Morrissey and Poolman and Pionk, you might tinker on the back end. Logan Stanley took a step forward here, but I think they're in pretty good shape moving forward.
And insult to injury, Mark Scheifele will have to miss the first game of next season to finish off his suspension.